There is a massive problem sitting right in the middle of A New Hope that almost no one wants to deal with, and it's not a small one. It's a structural break in the logic of the Empire itself. The Empire never properly scans the Millennium Falcon when it's pulled into the Death Star. Not thoroughly, not in a way that makes sense for the most powerful military organisation in the galaxy. And when you really think through what that means, you realise that the entire future of the rebellion survives simply because the Empire can't follow its own established rules. A New Hope very clearly establishes that the Empire scans ships for life forms. It's one of the first major procedural details we get. So when the Falcon is captured and brought directly into the most important military installation in the galaxy, and that protocol suddenly doesn't apply, that's not a small oversight. That's the hinge the entire saga now swings on. The Empire already established the rule. Let's go back to the opening act of A New Hope. The escape pod carrying R2-D2 and C-3PO launches from the Tantive IV. The Imperial officer says there are no lifeforms aboard. That line isn't a throwaway. It tells us something about how the Empire operates. They scan for life signs. They rely on that technology. It informs their decisions. That moment matters because it shows the Empire isn't incompetent. They aren't just blind stormtroopers missing obvious clues. They use advanced scanning systems to make tactical calls. In fact, the only reason R2 and 3PO escape is because the Empire assumes no life forms means no threat. That establishes the rule. Imperial ships scans for life. Now, fast forward to when the Millennium Falcon is captured in a tractor beam and brought directly into the Death Star's hangar bay. The single most important military asset in the Empire. You're telling me they just don't scan it? That's not consistent with what the movie itself taught us. The sweep the ship scene makes it worse. So what actually happens when the Falcon docks? Stormtroopers board the ship and conduct a physical sweep. They walk around. They look. They report that there's nobody aboard. That's it. No mention of lifeform scanners. No confirmation from a console. No line of dialogue suggesting they ran advanced diagnostics. Just boots on the ground walking through corridors. And here's the thing. We know scanners exist. We've seen them used. So why would you not scan a captured vessel before docking it? Especially one that just tried to evade you near Alderaan's debris field. This isn't some random customs checkpoint on the Outer Rim. This is the Death Star. If there is one place in the galaxy that should have airtight security protocol, it's here. And even if you argue they did scan it off screen, that actually makes the problem worse. Because if they scanned it and detected lifeforms, then why is the ship left with minimal guard? Why is it so easy for Han and Luke to sneak off later? The logic collapses either way. Vader senses Obi-Wan and just walks away. Now, let's talk about the moment that really breaks it. When Darth Vader arrives in the hangar bay, he pauses. He senses something. He says, "I sense something. A presence I've not felt since." That's Obi-Wan. He knows. He feels him. And then he leaves. He doesn't order a lockdown. He doesn't demand a rescan. He doesn't tear the Falcon apart looking for him. He doesn't even question why a mysterious cargo ship drifting near Alderaan's remains might be suspicious. He just walks away. If Vader believes Obi-Wan Kenobi might be on that station, the Jedi who humiliated him on Mustafar, that should trigger a maximum alert. The Death Star should shut down every hangar bay. Stormtroopers should be tearing that ship apart, panel by panel. Instead, we get casual negligence, and you can't chalk this up to arrogance alone. Because even arrogant villains protect their super weapons. They wanted to track them argument doesn't work. Now, I know the counter argument. People say Vader let them get away so he could track them to the rebellion base. And it works. Later. After Leia's rescue. After they've identified them as rebel collaborators. After the Empire has motive. But at the moment the Falcon docks, none of that is true. Han is a smuggler, Luke is a farm boy, Obi-Wan is in hiding. The group doesn't even know Leia is on the Death Star yet. They're not there on a rescue mission. They're trying to avoid getting arrested. From the Empire's perspective, this is just a suspicious freighter near a destroyed planet. They have zero confirmed connection to the rebellion at this point, so there's no strategic reason to let them operate freely. The consequences are galaxy-shattering. Here's why this isn't a nitpick. If the Empire follows proper protocol, scans the ship thoroughly, confirms life forms, detains everyone aboard, the saga ends right there. Obi-Wan is captured before he sabotages the tractor beam. Leia is executed as planned. Luke is arrested before he ever fires a shot in the rebellion. Han and Chewie are imprisoned or executed. The Death Star never gets destroyed. The rebellion loses its leadership and momentum in a single stroke. And here's the most interesting part. Vader would almost certainly discover Luke's identity under the interrogation. He would realise his son is alive far earlier than in The Empire Strikes Back. That changes everything. The entire Skywalker saga depends on the Empire failing to do the most basic security check possible. That's not a small plot hole. That's the entirety of the trilogy surviving. Why fans don't talk about it? So why does nobody bring this up? Because A New Hope moves so fast and is so charming that we don't stop to question it. The pacing distracts us. The excitement overrides the logic gap. And to be fair, 1977 filmmaking wasn't obsessed with airtight procedural realism. The focus was myth, adventure, momentum. But here's the thing, Star Wars itself establishes the rules. It's not fans demanding realism from nowhere. The movie tells us scanners exist. The movie tells us the Empire relies on them. And then it quietly ignores that when the plot needs it to. That's different from fantasy logic. That's inconsistency. And it matters because the Empire is supposed to be terrifyingly efficient, cold, calculated, mechanized oppression at a galactic scale. When they miss something this obvious, it makes them look less like a regime and more like a cartoon villain. This is where arrogance becomes a crutch. Now, some people say the Empire is arrogant. That's the point. Yes, absolutely. Arrogance is the fall of the Empire. Tarkin dismisses the Force. Officers mock Vader. They underestimate the rebels. But arrogance doesn't mean incompetence. Arrogance means you believe your systems are flawless. It doesn't mean you forget to use them. If anything, an arrogant Empire would double down on protocol. They'd scan everything because they trust their technology over instinct. Skipping a scan entirely isn't arrogance, it's narrative convenience. And when that convenience directly saves every main character, it quietly becomes the biggest plot hole in the film. The bigger Star Wars problem. And this is where the title really comes into focus. The problem no one talks about isn't just that the Falcon wasn't scanned. It's that Star Wars occasionally relies on the Empire being selectively incompetent when the heroes need breathing room. We see it later with stormtrooper aim jokes. We see it with security lapses. We see it with critical systems left vulnerable. And yes, thematically, the Empire's rigidity leads to downfall. But structurally, the saga sometimes bends the rules it establishes in order to protect its protagonists. In this specific case, the bend is enormous, because the Death Star isn't just a random base, it's the Empire's ultimate weapon. Billions of credits, decades of construction, political dominance incarnate, and its security is undone by not running a scan. Final thoughts. When you track the cause and effect, it's clear. If the Empire follows its own rules, the saga ends before it truly begins. And maybe we don't talk about it because we love what comes after. Maybe we forgive it because the story it enables is iconic. But that doesn't change the fact that the entire trilogy survives because the Empire didn't run one scan. Now, the real question is, does this weaken A New Hope for you? Or is it just the price of mythic storytelling? If you enjoyed this video, hit subscribe and let's uncover the galaxy's greatest secrets together. Thanks for watching.